I'm about to share a post on Kara's Locks. Kara's a client who flew from the US to come to London, and I had a relocking session with her, and it was a really positive relocking session. I've also just completed another locking session with my clients that has inspired this share. So I'm coming across clients who they've got these spacey locks, they've got hair loss as a direct result of choosing Sisterlocks, choosing the grid. And I feel like the reason why it's really important to go beyond my Knotted Locs practice is I feel like when you have the mindset shift and a deeper understanding into what happened with your hair, then you're likely to not repeat the mistake again. In all the patterns of errors with your hair, you can see that you are the common denominator in that. You're the one who created the situation where your hair was done in the wrong way, and now you're experiencing hair loss. It happened with perms or wigs, or it happened with extensions, and it's happening again now with Sisterlocks, and you're tired because all you're trying to do is find a solution to wearing your African texture hair. But I also think that in trying to find a solution, we think of our African texture hair as hair that is a problem. We're born perfect, and our African texture hair is an African texture hair, and it's a representation of how we're born. But colonialism, imperialism, there's a lot of brainwashing that we invite in that says we are not enough, our African texture is not enough. And then we endorse it and affirm it by going online, and we watch all these videos of people's hair that doesn't represent us, which teaches us and gives us muscle memory of our hair's not good enough, nice enough. And so we wish to have their hair. So we hang off their every words and we watch their hair. And actually the dissatisfaction carries on. The dissatisfaction needs to stop, because you can't keep carrying this dissatisfaction for decades, years in, year out. You're searching for the answer. You're buying their products. You're sitting in their salons. You're going to get your hair done by them, thinking that what they've put out, your hair's going to look like, and it doesn't. The fundamental problem is that there's nothing with African texture hair, and I'm talking about the African texture hair, which insultingly is referred to as 4C. That African texture hair, there's no real hairstyle that's designed for that African texture hair. Everything is designed to counteract the true nature of your African texture hair. And then of course we gift ourselves all these negative things about our hair, and then this cycle just kind of continues. I want to break the cycle, and I want to break the cycle simply because when I was interlocking, I did realize spiritually deep inside of me that it was lacking. It was all right, but it was lacking in terms of longevity and continuity and that satisfaction, because there's a boredom that I felt when I was interlocking that I don't feel when I'm knotting. And that's simply because I feel like I can do, and I teach you a lot more that you can do with the knots than interlocking is just straight on backward braiding, plaiting. That could be fine for some hair types. That could be fine for certain individuals. But I like options. And also when I provide options, I like understanding why that option excites me. And I feel like the option excites me because finally I feel like hair is a hairstyle that represents true African texture hair delivered by somebody who has that hair, who understands that my hair was just thought of as ugly, incapable of looking this full. And then the grid, the problem is with the grid is something that was blown up on social media. 20 years ago when I was researching Sisterlocks, when I had Sisterlocks created, installed on my head, the grid was never mentioned. So then it's misunderstood. The grid for Sisterlocks was a guide to interlock, to backward braid each section without the person having to think much. It's a really dumbed down version of having to create small size locks. And that's why I was bored, because I felt like my intellect was wider, much more expansive enough than just taking one lock in a line, another lock in a line, another lock in a line. And then the public went and sexified it and made it look attractive. But the problem is that idea of the grid now is very much, it's linked into trying to make your hair look pretty. Rather than saying my hair's pretty anyway, with or without a fixed grid parting, your hair is actually prettier without the grid. It's also beautiful because it's about self-acceptance and there's longevity in that. The reason why the partings are getting wider is because your hair does not like it. Your hair is allergic to that constant pulling and tugging and thinning out. So I wanted to do this post because I wanted you to understand fundamentally why you have come to a point where your hair is depleting as a result of the Sisterlocks practice, and also maybe you starting out thinking, what are my options? Why is it that I'm seeing so many people's hair thinning? And that's simply because we're buying into a concept and an idea that doesn't work for us. The simple fact is that the grid has been put out there, and people are like, I want my lines to be very straight, I want my lines to be fixed. A lot of African texture hair cannot do that because ultimately interlocking is plaiting, it's braiding, right? And that means it comes out of itself because it's the new hair. Think about a braid. At the end it will stay, but like the thicker bits will kind of come undone. And then also we don't understand the complexity and the dynamism of 4C African texture hair. We don't really understand it because we never give it an opportunity to really understand it. That hair texture just doesn't want to be in a grid. So it moves and it coils and it hugs, and that's the nature of it. It's loving. And yet we reject it because we want it to stay in line. Okay, it stay in line, but then it just stays in line and it's constricted. And it just doesn't, it's not able to move and fatten up your hair and fullness and all of that. So you have to understand, you have to get rid of that mindset where you think your hair is ugly and you're watching videos and information endorsing that. You need to find a solution that works for you, that celebrates your African texture hair. That's where Knotted Locs sits. Knotted Locs has been created for that African texture hair that is insultingly referred to a 4C, to show you that your hair is beautiful. And the idea of what is beautiful with African texture hair is different from head to head to head, from section to section to section. But as I teach you how to live with your growth, because that's a fundamental part of Knotted Locs, and the fundamental part of us existing with this African texture hair. We're not meant to interlock it all away and braid it all away and knot it all away. You're meant to form a really healthy, gorgeous relationship with your African texture hair in locks. That is what gives you the fullness. If you're really trying to understand why is it that my partings are wider, I'm really struggling with my hair, it's thinning out, that's because you decided that your hair wasn't enough. You decided to not interact with your hair because you decided your hair is a problem. I'm not a hair person. But the hair is attached to your head and you should be interacting with it. The more you interact with it, the more you understand it, the more you understand what the person who's working on your hair is doing. I tell my clients, check your hair. Check your hair. Even though, Melissa, you trust me, check your hair. So you can come back and give me proper feedback. That's why I give the gaps. I give the long gaps because I want the clients to discover something, come and tell me, even if they're happy, unhappy, it's a two-way conversation. You need to get much more empowered and in tune with what's on your body parts, what's on your hair. I feel like if you begin to understand this mindset of I'm not enough, and you reverse it and understand actually you are, you've just yet to see your hair texture appear on social media because you're not on social media. You have to give yourself time as you learn the knots, as I teach you how to knot your hair, or you're sitting in the chair and begin to understand and give yourself time, stop rushing, how to live with your hair and understand your hair is superb. That's the birth of Knotted Locs. Knotted Locs has been birthed for you with your African texture hair, to showcase your hair, not for your hair to fit into an idea of imperialism, colonialism, African, hair, what beauty is, changing your texture, because that's what interlocking does. It's pulling, it's stretching. It's like a mini stretch. This is like, it lets the curl sit and does what it does and hugs. And if you don't like my hair, I always say that, that's absolutely fine. It's all right for someone to look at you and not like your hair. That's absolutely fine. This is not what it's about. I like my hair and I like the process of how I look after my hair. When I give you Knotted Locs, it's not for your hair to look identical to me. It's for your hair to look how you choose for it to want to look, because you're an adult and you can make an informed decision and develop that relationship. I'm not trying to get you to have my hair or look exactly like my hair. I'm trying to teach you how to love your hair better, how to not be obsessed with your hair, how to leave your hair alone, how to showcase its beauty. When I'm interacting with you, that's the information I give you. That's why it's really important, because I give you a total of 13 years of experience, me working with clients, coming up to 14 now. 7 years, coming up to 7 years of me knotting my hair, and 4, soon 5 years of me teaching it. I give you all of that unique to you, what I observe you do, little things, little treasures, little gifts that enable you to look at yourself in a different way and understand you are absolutely perfect. Your hair is super knottable. You can go ahead and form this gorgeous relationship and like your hair. Love, beauty is acceptance of self. And that is why Knotted Locs has a space, because it's going to grow with you as you change, as your hair changes, as there's different moods. You knot according to Knotted Locs is much more feeling based. I like myself. I love myself. It is purely about that.